a reminder for us. Maybe we were not grateful. Maybe we misused and abused His blessings. Maybe we have spread mischief. And He sent us this as a reminder that all of us return back to Him. Return back to Him. And remember how weak we are. خُلِقَ الْإِنسَانُ ضَعِيفًا. Human being was created very weak. Maybe it's time to go back to Him. Maybe it is time to beg Him. Maybe it's time to humble ourselves to Him.
One of the verses in the Quran says that corruption, and the word is fasad, has appeared on land and on sea because of what people have earned by their acts, to make them taste some of what they have done, that they might turn back. So the idea of when we do things in the world that are dangerous and negative, then we get this repercussion. And the reason for that repercussion, it's actually a mercy, because it's letting you know that you need to turn back, that you're doing something wrong. And so you cannot go out and sow corruption without having the corruption come back at you. So one of the signs of the latter times, when it's gotten too much, the Quran says that men will cry out and say, what is happening to the earth? On that day, it will tell you all, because your Lord inspired it to do so. They don't want to relate natural disasters to human behavior. This is the modern world. They want to pretend that natural disasters are just that's all they are. It's just natural disaster. It has nothing to do with what we're doing. But we affect the world. Our physical aspects affect the world. We know that. There's a relationship between what's happening to us in the microcosmic world and what's happening out there. And if we want to change, the real environmental crisis is here. It's not out there. That is only a reflection of what's happening in here. It's the pollution of our souls that is manifesting in the physical world, the apparent, the phenomenon, what is appearing. So that's all that's happening. And these are metaphysical realities which people have lost, but the ancients knew them. ظهر الفساد في البر والبحر بما كسبت أيدي الناس. Corruption, pollution, deterioration, degradation, all these meanings of fasad have manifested on the land and in the seas because of what people's hands have been doing, what they've been earning. That's why it's happening. So,
and now وَضَرَبَ اللَّهُ مَثَلًا قَرْيَةً كَانَتْ آمِنَةً. Allah gave the example of a town, or Allah gave an example, that is to say, a town that used to be at peace. مُطْمَئِنَّةً. It was satisfied. Just before we saw a person who was satisfied in their kufr. And now Allah says, there's an entire town, and they're satisfied with the status quo. They're happy the way things are. يَأْتِيهَا رِزْقُهَا رَغَدًا مِنْ كُلِّ مَكَانٍ. Its provision comes to it without effort, freely, without any difficulty, from every direction. فَكَفَرَتْ بِأَنْعُمِ اللَّهِ. And it disbelieved in the favors of Allah. An'um, the few favors. An'um, the few favors of Allah. فَأَذَاقَهَا اللَّهُ لِبَاسَ الْجُوعِ وَالْخَوْفِ. That Allah made that town taste the garment, the clothing of hunger and fear. Now, clothing means hunger wrapped the city, like clothing wraps you. Clothing of fear means clothing wrapped the city like, clothing wraps you. Others say this is actually Allah Azza wa Jal giving an example to let them know this is possible for them. This can come their way too. But it's interesting that when Allah talks about trouble for that city, He mentions hunger first and fear second. And that's still a sociological fact. When the economy goes down and jobs can't be found and young people are out of work, what goes up next? Crime rate. Fear goes up. First comes hunger, then comes fear. بِمَا كَانُوا يَصْنَعُونَ. On account of what they themselves manufactured. وَإِذَا مَسَّ النَّاسَ ضُرٌّ دَعَوْا رَبَّهُمْ مُنِيبِينَ إِلَيْهِ. When harm touches people, when harm hits people, then they call on their master, turning back towards him. All the religions, all the factions, all that ideological discourse disappears. People just turn to Allah in times of trouble. ثُمَّ إِذَا أَذَاقَهُم مِّنْهُ رَحْمَةً Then when He makes them taste some love, some mercy from Him, إِذَا فَرِيقٌ مِّنْهُمْ بِرَبِّهِمْ يُشْرِكُونَ Then all of a sudden a group among them, they start becoming, with their master, they start committing shirk once again. ظَهَرَ الْفَسَادُ فِي الْبَرِّ وَالْبَحْرِ بِمَا كَسَبَتْ أَيْدِ النَّاسِ Corruption came out in the land and in the sea because of what people have earned with their own hands. What are people earning with their own hands in the previous ayat? Riba. What are people doing with their actions? Shirk. And Allah says these things will create enormous amounts of corruption in the land and in the sea. And perhaps no generation of humanity has seen more corruption come as a result of blind greed and riba than our generation. Is there not intense amounts of pollution like never before in the oceans? Is there not intense amounts of corruption in lands and landfills? Even we're supposed to be like the first world, the most powerful nation in the world, and here you have citizens complaining about landfills in their backyard that oil refineries and coal companies, etc. have done, and people have gotten sick. Literal fasad in the land and in the sea. And of course on top of that there's war and there's corruption and there's piracy and all this other stuff. Because of what people have done with their own hands, لِيُذِيقَهُمْ بَعْضَ الَّذِي عَمِلُوا So that He may make them taste only some of the consequences of what they've done. Allah says the corruption you see in the world, the wars, the crime, the pollution, is only a small taste of what they've done. If Allah gave you the full taste of what they've done, that would be Judgment Day. لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْجِعُونَ Hopefully they're going to return, they're going to come back. قُلْ سِيرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ فَانْظُرُوا Go tell them, travel or say, go around in the land and take a look for yourselves. كَيْفَ كَانَ عَاقِبَةُ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلُ كَانَ أَكْثَرُهُمْ مُشْرِكِينَ Look for yourselves, what was the outcome of those people that engaged in or did this before, much before you? Most of them were people of shirk. Allah says most of them were people of shirk.